Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to answer some of the most popular questions that people have before starting to airbrush, and we're going to do it while I'm painting these portraits. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's going to be a variety of different questions for different topics and industries, but in regards to airbrushing. So let's go ahead and start off with the first one. So the first question is, why is airbrushing models bad? So when it comes to models, I'm talking about miniature models, plastic models, car models, and stuff like that. So the reason why a lot of people think that it's bad is because you're using enamel paints and you probably don't have good ventilation or are not using a mask. So in that regards, airbrushing inside without a mask and using harsh paints like enamels is pretty bad for your health, and that's why it's bad. But if you're taking the right proper measurements or measures to make sure that everything's nice and clean, you have a mask, and you're have a designated area where you are airbrushing, you should be okay. So a lot of people seem to think that airbrushing is dangerous. It is not dangerous as far as getting hurt. The only thing is, obviously, if you are using like old equipment or a tank that is like super rusted and you're building pressure and stuff like that, I mean, it's super rare when that happens, or I've never even heard it happening to anybody. But obviously, if you are using like super old, vintage, very worn out tanks, air tanks and stuff like that, then there could be a possibility of it exploding because the tank is old. But I've never really heard of a tank exploding while you're airbrushing. So another question, and this one has to do with makeup. People ask if airbrushing does cover acne, and the airbrush itself lays down a very thin layer of makeup when you are using it with makeup. Depending on which brand you are using, it will cover a little bit of that acne. But if it's something that's kind of swollen, obviously you're going to be able to notice that a little bit. Instead of with using a brush, you may be able to apply more material on to be able to cover it. But depending on the brand, you should be able to cover acne fairly easily. Another question is, how long would an airbrush last? I've had airbrushes that would last probably, I don't know, like 4 years, 5 years, and that's me using it constantly. So if you're rarely using your airbrush, it should last like a very, very long time. The only reason why things get worn out is because you are using it a lot, or you are using harsh chemicals or paints that are very, very harsh. Other than that, the entire airbrush is not going to go bad. You may replace smaller parts like the tip or the needle, which are the mostly the parts that usually are the ones that kind of get worn out the fastest. So, and obviously the body's going to last you for a long time because you're just replacing those small little pieces. So it'll last for a very long time. Another question is, how much does an airbrush cost? So depending on the brand, you may find that you can get like small airbrushes on Amazon probably within less than $100 on an average. The one that I have, it's an Iwata airbrush, and that cost me like $150. And obviously you can get like better quality airbrushes that you can do finer detail, and those tend to be around 200 and stuff like that. So it's just depending on kind of where you want to start off with, or what kind of painting you want to do. Is airbrush easy to use? So if you are like painting models and you're just covering, like let's say a model car in a single color, it's going to be fairly easy for you to be able to paint that without a learning curve. Whereas if you're doing fine art, obviously you need to be able to know or learn how to draw before you can use the airbrush properly and make your art look really, really nice. So there is a learning curve. And if obviously if you practice a lot, you can get it within 2 weeks to a month, and the more you practice, the better you'll get at it, especially if you're doing fine art. So which airbrush is good for miniatures? So this answer is going to apply to not only miniatures but fine art and also makeup artists. So what you want to look for in any type of airbrush is to make sure that is a double action airbrush, which means you can push down for air and then be able to pull back different distances to get different amounts of paint. So that's a dual action airbrush, and you want to be able to have full control of the paint and the air. If it's a single action, you're just literally just pushing down and just paint is coming out. So for that, you know, it's probably okay for doing like solid colors and stuff like that. You're not gonna get that much you know, fine art happening with that airbrush. So with anything, I probably recommend for you not to get the single action and just go straight into double action airbrushes. And you can definitely start with a lower cost airbrush and work your way up. So can you use airbrush paint with a regular brush? The answer is yes, you can. Obviously you can, you know, the paint itself is very thin, so you can kind of move it around. The only thing with the airbrush paint is that it's kind of thin, so if you're painting something, you may have to put several layers down with a regular brush to be able to get some, you know, some thickness to it, some opacity to it. So you can use it, but it's going to be a little bit washed down. So the majority of the paints that are sold for airbrushing are acrylic and water based, so they're fairly safe to use on just about any project that you're working on. Obviously, if you're going to be handling the item a lot, like a helmet or, you know, a gas tank and stuff like that, like you want to be able to clear it afterwards. If it's something like a shirt, then just straight out acrylic paint will definitely work. And you can use paint that is not meant for airbrushing, as long as you thin it down and it kind of looks like milk, that you want that consistency, and you'll be able to shoot it without a problem. So, and of course you want to make sure you clean your airbrush every single time. So alright, and that's going to be it for this video. It's a very short video, just a few questions that I've gotten before, and I just wanted to help out any beginner out there that is looking to get you know, into airbrushing. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video, and take it easy for now. Bye bye.